Hey guys, so after I made my last health update, I really wanted to make a video talking about pelvic floor dysfunction, pelvic floor therapy, what that kind of all means, because I've thrown out the terms kind of casually in videos before, and I realized that not everyone might be familiar. I certainly had never heard of it before I was diagnosed with pelvic floor dysfunction. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what that is and what my journey is with it. Okay, so pelvic floor dysfunction refers to the inability to either contract or relax your pelvic floor muscles. This can affect your bowel movements, it can affect your urination, it can affect your sexual health, it can affect just your pain on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of different symptoms that can come up from it, and I'll link some information down below if you want to do more reading about it, or if this is something that you think that you might be concerned about. The way that I was diagnosed basically is I went to see my GYN when I was 22 to get my first pap smear. You're really supposed to do it at 21, but I had put it off because I've had issues with GYN stuff in the past. When I was in high school, I had to get GYN related surgery, which I can make another video on if people are interested in that. But basically the reason that I got surgery was because I was having so much pain just even putting in a tampon, which is not super typical. And my GYN discovered the reason for that and was able to do surgery to help with that situation. However, I was still nervous to get a pap smear done. I had never gotten one done before, and given my history, I was just a little bit anxious. But I went to see the same GYN who did my surgery, who I really, really like. She's excellent. She's in Boston. And when she did my exam, I kid you not, I screamed bloody murder. Like, oh my God. That was some of the most acute pain I've ever been in. It's normal to have a little bit of discomfort during an exam, but not that level. My mom was there. I really freaked her out. I screamed so loudly. Luckily my doctor was really nice, and she wrapped up the exam pretty quickly. Part of the problem was that I had a yeast infection, which just makes everything more painful, and I hadn't realized that that was the case. But also she told me that my pelvic floor muscles were very, very tight. And so one of the reasons that I was having continuing issues with things like tampons was that my muscles are very, very tight. So you know how some people do exercises to strengthen their pelvic floor muscles? You might have heard of Kegels. I have the opposite problem. Mine are super tight. They just kind of like seize up really easily, and so it made it very, very painful. It was like the muscles kind of contracted and almost formed a wall, and she was trying to push through that wall. That makes sense. Not to give you like too violent of an image, but that's pretty much what was happening. And so at that time, which this was again a couple years ago, I was diagnosed with pelvic floor dysfunction, and she recommended that I start physical therapy, pelvic floor physical therapy. But I wasn't so excited about that because you can look it up, but basically it's not fun if you have those kinds of issues. It can be quite uncomfortable. I'll also put information about it down below. So anyway, here we are a couple years later. I've gone through all this GI stuff, had so many issues. You guys know that all my tests now have pretty much come back negative. And so where do we go from here? Well, because of my pelvic floor dysfunction, my GI had referred me to a pelvic floor therapist even before this last colonoscopy. who I'd seen before, and now that we've ruled out some of the GI stuff, we're looking to explore more of maybe this is actually pelvic pain, pelvic dysfunction, and what are the reasons. And we know that I have pelvic floor dysfunction. The question is, do I also have endometriosis and or internal cystitis? So my pelvic floor therapist, the first time I went to go see her, I didn't really know what to expect. She is really wonderful. She doesn't do the actual physical therapy, but she oversees all the medical care related to the pelvic floor dysfunction. And she did my workup initially, and then she referred me to a physical therapist. So at the initial visit, she did somewhat of a physical examination, not a full pelvic exam, but just some other types of physical exams. We talked through my symptoms and all the rest of it. At that time, I was working with pain management, with nutrition, with my GI. There was still a lot more unknown, and so we didn't really take a lot of steps forward. But since then, we have tried a medication called neurotriptyline, which is on brand as an anti-depressant, but is commonly used in IBS pain. And since pelvic floor dysfunction can cause some IBS symptoms, she was wondering if that would help with the pain. So I did try that. Unfortunately, because of my mental health history, that medication was actually really bad for me and made me feel super moody and like all over the place. So I had to stop taking it. And then the other big thing was the physical therapy. So she gave me a list of physical therapists, but it was really hard to find someone who did this, who took my insurance. And so I finally found someone. Since my surgery for the endo is so soon, I'm not going to be starting physical therapy until after my surgery, but we did start preparing for what that's going to be like. So she walked me through kind of what to expect from physical therapy. And because I was very nervous, she did prescribe me some suppository forms of Valium, which will help my muscles relax, hopefully, and also some lidocaine that I can apply before the physical therapy. So I'm hoping all of that will help. Definitely still nervous, but again, that's not going to be for a couple months, so I'll definitely update you guys on how that's going. I did just have a phone check-in with her, with my pelvic floor therapist, and she was very helpful. As always, we talked about my upcoming surgery and what to expect. One of the things that I've been really nervous about is, well, what if they don't find endometriosis? Like, I've gone through all of this, what could possibly be causing my symptoms? And yes, we still have to do the workup for gastroparesis, but at the same time, we don't know that that's the case. And I was just feeling really anxious of, I'm going through all this pain every day. I swear I'm obviously not making it up. It's not all in my head. So what is going on? And I talked to her today, and she said that it is possible that all of this pain, like this daily debilitating pain, could just be a severe form of pelvic floor dysfunction. It can actually cause extreme pelvic pain, as well as some of the other symptoms I'm experiencing. Probably not like the food sensitivity stuff. There's still probably some like IBS, SIBO, food intolerance things to explore with my nutritionist, and maybe, as I said, gastroparesis as well. But it could explain the pelvic pain and nausea and some of those other symptoms, which is just a huge relief to me because this surgery is still so important. But that means whether I get a negative or positive result, it's just a little bit easier to see my path forward. Even if it's a negative result, we can go with this physical therapy. There might be other medications to try. I can work with this doctor. So that's a big relief for me. And I'll be starting the physical therapy about 6 weeks after my procedure, if all goes well. So I'll definitely update you guys, probably before, and if not, definitely after my endo surgery, and let you know how everything went. I know that I don't have a lot of viewers, which is totally fine. I'm not doing this for fame or to get paid. You guys know that I film everything on my iPhone. I'm literally just in my apartment. I have no camera crew, no fancy technology. I use the free iMovie editing app. But for those of you who are watching, if there's anything that you would like me to make a video on, I know that dealing with chronic illness, especially when you're undiagnosed, can be extremely overwhelming and sometimes isolating. Feel free to send me a message in the comments or a private message. I'm always happy to talk, and also I'm happy to take any type of video requests and answer your questions. So definitely let me know. All right, thanks guys.